My name is Memoir. I am 26, born first in a family of 4 biologically, and now of 6 combined, having 2 half siblings from my mother's side after she divorced my pops. I was born in Mansa, Luapula province, Zambia, that's Southern Africa. I am a poetic photographer and filmmaker and a fine arts photography practitioner, currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in moving image, a double major in film and photography at Open Window University. I like to think of myself as part whole and whole in parts. If I had to think about a gift at the moment, I would think of 2 really. One that is artistic, that has birthed or stirred the art in me, that of visual storytelling. One that comes from my mother. I saw her do a lot of artistic stuff, drawings of portraits and other things, cartoons for the most part. She played a lot with crayons as well, quite colorful. The other is more on the organized end of things, I believe. That would be leadership and discipleship, adopted and now being developed by my spiritual mentor, Bishop Andrew Mwenda. I am one that did not exactly have a close relationship with my pops, and that created a lot of emptiness growing up as a child. It was a disciplinarian home, so I never talked much with him, and that created a void in terms of leadership and learning, father to son type of thing, And the journey from boyhood to manhood as well, I don't think I ever got that experience. So leadership and discipleship really felt right to me the first time, and I'm developing that, hoping to be helpful to little boys like me. The divorce between my parents, really, that took a toll. I was in my senior year in high school. There were fights at home already, so I loved my time in boarding school because it took me away from all that chaos. But the divorce, I did not expect, and I was very angry. And I think to some degree still am. I needed an outlet, and I found that writing poetry as my anger and emotional outlet for the emotional brewery building within. It really helped, I think the one thing in society, or the one society event that impacted me the most, again, was the divorce of my parents. It awakened me to a lot of things. I had my eyes open to things beyond the 4 walls of our home, for the most part. Fathership and mentorship, especially for young black men. I feel the danger of having absent fathers is that we risk these young men becoming fathers before they could even be sons. And if that be the case, what would they sit to tell their sons about being a good or a bad son, right? I feel all sons need their father present. Every little boy needs a father to point the way, to walk through doors for him, There's opportunity in grief and loss. I now feel privileged to be the 100th turtle, to carry the torch, to be the torch, and by God, His grace be upon me, create a haven for leadership support and mentorship programs for young men that never got the opportunity to have a father who led their path and point the way. My name is Memoir, and this is my digital memoir to the next generation. Go be the greatest.
Hey everybody. Hey Alia. Hey everybody. Hello everyone. I'm gonna try this again. Hello everyone.
Hey everyone, my name is Janiyah Forney. I am 19 years old and currently a sophomore political science major at North Carolina Central University. I am proud to be a first-generation college student all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. I love expressing myself through creativity, whether it's writing, baking, crocheting, or content creating. Creativity allows me to be free, and it's one of the ways I connect with the world around me. I would have to say that the greatest gift that has been passed down to me that me and my elders share are the strength to never give up. I come from a long line of resilient women. My great-grandmother shows me every day what it means to keep going, no matter what life throws your way. She treats every person she meets like family, creating a comfortable atmosphere and just making people feel at home. And her ability to keep showing love, even through everything that she's been through, reminds me that giving up is never an option. My grandmother carries this same gift. She owns her own salon and has been working in it for over 20 years, all while raising my mother. And she could let the circumstances stop her, but instead, she works hard to build stability and success for her family. My mother also carries this gift because she's one of the strongest women I know, and she inspires me to always push a little harder and don't give up. She always tells me to take a break before ever even thinking about giving up. And that same spirit lives in me now. Whenever I face struggles in school, friendships, relationships, whether it's with my health or anything of that nature, I think about the strength of all the women before me, and to never give up is more than survival. It's a way of living with love, perseverance, and a sense of purpose. It's a gift that continues to shape me into the young woman I'm becoming today, and I feel called to carry this forward for the next generation. In my life, I would have to say that the hardest battles are the invisible ones. My senior year, I was diagnosed with lupus, and it seemed like my world collapsed at my feet, and this caused me to struggle mentally, and it made giving up feel very tempting and just dropping out and just giving up right then and there. But every time I think about giving up or just think about, like, what if I just stop now? Like, I'm just like, what will my little sisters think? And I look at my great-grandmother and I see proof that strength runs in my blood, and she started a family young during a time when opportunities for Black women were slim, yet she never folded under the pressure. She chose perseverance. These obstacles do not come from nowhere. They come from society. My great-grandmother grows up during the civil rights era when racism and inequality stripped Black families of opportunities. Women like her are often expected to marry young and dedicate themselves to a family before being allowed to chase their own dreams. My grandmother faces her own struggles with economic inequality in the small business world and gender expectations while working to build her salon and provide for her family. And for me, the obstacle shows up in health disparities and mental health stigma. Being a young Black woman with lupus means I sometimes have to fight harder for care, understanding, and a space to heal. And what connects us is that the weight of these societal pressures can make a healing feel unfinished because the systems around us don't always make space for it. I want to use my gift of resilience and compassion to create a society where the next generation feels limitless. I want to build safe spaces where love, encouragement, and healing are the norm, not the exception. By carrying forward the lessons of my great-grandmother and grandmother and mother while writing the narrative for those who come after me, I hope to transform generational struggle into generational strength. My goal for the next generation is to know that they are worthy, powerful, and free to create their own path, never having to give up on themselves.
My grandfather, whom I lovingly call Nanu, was known to be a deeply giving person. I don't have personal memories of him since he passed away when I was very young. But the one thing people always say about him is that he was kind-hearted. He went above and beyond to help others, and I believe this gift of kindness has been passed down to me too. Nanu was an electrical engineer in India before being offered a job in the UAE. After a decade there, he returned to India to start his own electronics manufacturing factory. But soon after, his younger brother faced a major life challenge. Nanu put aside his own ambitions to support him financially, even as his business began to collapse. When his business partner also suffered a severe accident, Nanu covered his medical expenses too. Within a short time, he had lost the business he had poured his heart into, and carried the deeper wound of betrayal when his brother, despite knowing his hardship, offered no help in return. I've seen echoes of this in my own life. Growing up, I only heard about Nanu's giving nature, and I strived to embody it. I too became known for kindness, and I embraced it. But as I got older, I experienced the other side. People who took advantage or misused that kindness and trust I placed in them. Like my grandfather, I experienced betrayal, ironically from the people closest to me, from the people I least expected it from. For both Nanu and me, the wounds we carried came through others. His life was shaken by his brother's challenges. Mine has often been shaped by the people I've attracted, those who were wounded in their own ways. Because of my empathy, I absorbed their fears and sorrows, giving advice, love, or care in return. But without boundaries, we both lost parts of ourselves in the process. For a while, I closed myself off. I felt naive, foolish, and too much. But reflection taught me something important. I'd rather be the one who was hurt than the one who caused the hurt. I'd rather look back knowing I was kind, that I gave my all to those relationships. Kindness, though, requires balance and discernment. It is not weakness, it is strength, but it must be paired with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out, but doors to keep the right ones in. Nanu's story and my own show that while kindness can be misused, it remains one of the greatest gifts. And I choose to keep carrying it, to build spaces rooted in empathy, respect, and understanding, where we see a human as a human first. My name is Shika, and beyond formalities, I am a soul having a human experience. So to the little Shika who once believed wholeheartedly in the good in everyone, I will keep carrying this gift for you. Because people like us do exist, and I can say with certainty, you will meet them along the way.
I am Anaya Sampson. I am 19, majoring in mass communications with a concentration in digital filmmaking at North Carolina Central University. My grandmother, Peggy Brothers, and I both shared the gift of unconditional love and mental fortitude to persist through adversity. We also both like to garden. My grandmother grew up poor and had little education, leading to her getting her GED when she got older and started a family. She married my grandfather, who was a farm boy that later started working in construction, then later created my uncle and my mother. My grandfather had anger issues and my mother was neglectful. Both were traits they took from their parents. Within this, I started suffering from depression, anger issues, and attempted suicide. My grandmother accepted all the bad parts of me and continued to love me and push me to be better, such as days of leaving food at my door for when I couldn't get out of bed, telling me things to inspire me and push me past my anxiety. With my grandma growing up poor, she experienced bullying for wearing her older siblings' hand-me-down clothes and shoes with patches and holes. She experienced having to use cardboard boxes to cover her and her siblings' room window during the winter. Within all of this, she had to push past judgment and building from a low point of her life. I feel with her going through hard moments helped her help me push past my own, even though they are completely different struggles. With the time my grandparents were born and the lack of resources they had, they weren't really taught about emotional depth or awareness, which is common and not really talked about amongst the Black community, with therapy being frowned upon and not promoted during their time as well. With the fight for civil rights and equality, racial violence, systemic discrimination, and economic hardships created less time for them to actually learn about themselves outside of history and fight for basic human rights. With them having to fight constantly and work to provide for a family, there was no time to be taught new things that the generation before them knew nothing about. Due to them experience way harder times and likely no education at all. I would like to use my gift of mental fortitude to push others that experience mental health issues to keep going and to not give up on themselves. I really aspire to be a film director to achieve this by being the reason someone waits a little bit longer. Just them waiting for a new episode or movie to come out can lead to possible time for them to fix things that they feel are going wrong, or just finding things to make them happy that'll help them push past the hard moments. Also, it can just be inspiration for some and give them a distraction from whatever could possibly weigh them down.
I discovered my artistic gift at the age of 6 or 7, when I copied a drawing of Goku made by my immediate older brother, Kajila. My classmates praised it, and their reactions sparked a passion that grew through my childhood and into my adulthood. Art became my anchor. It gives me peace, stability, and a way to express myself openly. My names are Joshua Rio Sakuhuka, a 22-year-old film and animation major at Open Window University, Zambia. I am a skater, a cartoonist, a proud cat dad, and often seen as the black sheep in my family because I chose to pursue art professionally. Growing up, I faced a lot of challenges at home. My parents' constant conflict, my father's difficult behavior, and the emotional abuse from my brother deeply affected me, worsening my anxiety and leading to struggles with my mental health. At the age of 19 in my first year of university, I sought therapy and was diagnosed with three disorders: ADHD, OCD, and generalized anxiety. Afraid of repeating negative patterns in my family, I turned to art as my safe outlet, channeling my emotions into characters and stories that reflected my inner world, a world that no one really understood but me. These experiences also connect to my family's history. My father, shaped by his own emotionally distant father, struggled to process his emotions and often projected that onto us, me, my three older siblings, and my mom especially. While this weighed heavily on my siblings and my mom, it really affected Kajila the most, who felt discouraged from chasing his creative dreams. But I was given the chance to pursue my path because my dad never had the chance, and he wanted at least one of us to pick a path that we wanted and pursue it to be happy. Though it caused tension between my brother and I, it also fueled my determination. I see my creativity as a power, one I intend to use responsibly. My goal is to create animations that inspire and comfort others, just as art did for me. Cartoons were my safe world, and they still are to this day. I don't think I can ever see myself doing anything else besides making ridiculous characters in funny situations. With this gift, I want to become a better person than my circumstances and use my work to uplift those who may feel unseen or ashamed to feel their emotions just as I did as I was growing up. Because I know with great power comes great responsibility. And yes, that's a reference to Spider Man.
Broadcast. I go to the North Carolina Central University, HBCU in Durham, North Carolina. Some of my interests are football, basketball, anime, animation, photography, videography, and graphic designs. My favorite team is the Indianapolis Colts, where I'm from. And my favorite basketball team is the Pacers and the Lakers. Some of my favorite animes are Fairy Tail, Naruto, One Piece, Blue Lock. One of the gifts that I can think of is the gift of helping others. My grandma, Shirley Alexander, and my grandpa, Frank Alexander, had that gift too. They passed it down to me. My grandma, Shirley Alexander, helped the younger generation after they got out of incarceration. My grandpa, on the other hand, was a pastor. He had a vision. He made that vision happen. He made not one, but two elderly apartments where the elderly can come and live and have a community. He also took multiple mission trips to Africa to help the African children. He has a school there dedicated to him. One impactful moment in my life was being diagnosed with dyslexia. I remember vividly in the first grade, I did a lot of testing. I was confused what it was. Then one day, I see my mom crying at the kitchen table. I walk in and I ask her, "Mom, what's wrong?" She looked me in my eye and said, "Alex, you're dyslexia." My first reaction, oh, am I going to die? No, she laughed and said, "No, Alex, you just learn differently." Then I was like, "Oh, okay." It was hard for me for the first time, but I knew who I could depend on. My papa, he helped me with the whole process. He guided me with tutoring. He helped me to speak. He helped me to teach. Then one day, I told him I can't do this no more. He said, "Alex, you can, and I promise you, you can do it." He said, "If you get on honor roll, I will go to the store and buy you your favorite Nerf gun." The next month, I got on honor roll. My grandpa picked me up, took me to Target, and bought the Nerf gun. And he looked at me and said, "Alex, see, you can do it. So continue doing it." Sadly, in 2019, I lost him to cancer. That hurt me so bad. I lost the person I could depend on. I lost the person that guided me through everything. I wanted to quit, but he will not let me, even when he was in heaven. So I kept going. And so I graduated high school. Then I went to college. And now I'm here in my situation I'm in now. Sometimes I had to push through. It was hard for me. Just how my papa was. He had to push through. He wanted to be a pastor when he grew up. He had no role model. His dad wasn't in his life, and he had to end school early to go be the father figure in his home. He had 11 siblings. He was the oldest. So he had to push through. But guess what he did? He pushed through. He became a pastor of his church. And he married. And he was married for 50 years. And they grew up and had 3 loving children. My mother, my aunts, and they helped me also through it. So we all have a story of pushing through. A gift I could give the younger generation would be push through and also learn to help others, because you never know who could come back and help you. Like my papa did me. He helped me back, and now look how I'm repaying him. I'm going to graduate from college, and I'm going to do more than graduate from college. I'm going to come back to college and get another degree, because I know that will make him proud, and I just want to make him proud. So with my gift to you guys, I tell y'all to keep giving and keep pushing through.
My name is Chisecha Mutali. I'm a 60-year-old Zambian woman. I have 2 children, a boy of 28 and a 26-year-old girl. Both my children are creatives, a graphic designer and a screenwriter and filmmaker. I was widowed at 56 years old. 5 years ago, I enrolled at the Open Window University of Creative Arts in Lusaka, Zambia, to study literary arts. I majored in creative writing and new media and journalism. I graduated in March of 2025. I was lured to creative writing to equip myself with tools to write stories through fictional and non-fictional writing. I have the ability to think complex thoughts which I desire to share by expressing them creatively into works of art. Naturally, I consider myself to be a gifted person. My gifts range from gardening, interior decor, cookery, and creative writing. In my life, I have suffered a number of wounds, but what I consider to be something that broke me was, of course, the death of my husband. He died a year shy of 60, and to me, I became disillusioned because I saw my parents live as married, a couple to very old age. I see most of my friends still have their partners, and to lose a partner at that age I felt cheated, and that was a source of my wound, and more so that perhaps he could have been spared if he had adhered to proper management of his illness. But he was a person who experimented a lot and went off conventional diabetic medication to try other forms of alternative therapies. I blamed it on the internet because the internet has so much to offer. There's no watchdog on the internet. One can just no one can say this is wrong, it's been vetted, that's correct. Anyone can post anything, but it depends on us to do the right thing. So how I aim to use my gifts is that I want to be an authentic voice that people can trust, because I lost a spouse to inauthentic voices. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brianna Jackson. I'm 20 years old and a junior at North Carolina Central University. I'm a mass communications major with a concentration in broadcast media, and I really enjoy holding meaningful conversations about personal growth. I would love to build a community with like-minded and supportive people who lift each other up during any season they may be going through. An ancestor in my family who has passed but had a meaningful impact on my early childhood is my mother's godmother and my grandmother's best friend, Ruthie McGee. She was one of the most joyous and caring people I've ever known. Whenever I was around her as a child, she always called me her friend. Although Ruthie was not my biological grandmother, she cared for me and supported me as if she were. She constantly spread positivity and laughter, and I believe that is a special gift Ruthie and I share. When I was 5 years old, I suffered third-degree burns from hot water. During my recovery journey, I was surrounded by so much support from loved ones. Ruthie was especially there for me through the toughest times, always helping and encouraging me. I truly believe that I would not be here today without the love and support of my family. Since then, my family has chose to heal from that traumatic event through laughter. We often reminisce and crack jokes about things that happened during that time period. Instead of living in fear of the past, we choose happiness and we choose to laugh. In this world, we have always been fighting and advocating for freedom for everyone. There's a lot of hate and violence going around, even in our own backyard, and a lot of hate can stem from judging. Judging and spreading hate to one another has set us back. Choosing to spread joy can heal many wounds we carry with us. I choose to spread peace and aim to build a community where we choose to come together and support one another. Everyone says that laughter is the best medicine, but that's something that I truly believe in. Being kind and bringing joy to the people around me is something that I take pride in. So, when was the last time that you laughed with someone and spreaded positivity?
My name is Mwamba Kapumpa. I'm a fourth year graphic design and animation student at Open Windows Zambia. Yeah, I consider myself an artist, nerd, and last but definitely not least, I'm also a Christian. Yeah. The gift that I feel like I share with my dad and my grandfather is really the gift of kindness, kind towards other people. And yeah, I feel that it's something that honestly resonates with a lot of people, family, like just that need to help out others, to do things, even sometimes when it feels like an inconvenience to us. But if we know that, okay, this is going to help out someone else, then it doesn't really affect us. So I think the event that kind of brought out this side of me a lot was when my family had moved like out of the country, because it was like a very big like culture shock and everything, and it kind of led me to go through a period where I didn't really have like the highest self-esteem, like I really just didn't think that much of myself. So it's like as a way of coping with it, maybe that's how I started to go out of my way to be kind to others, maybe as a way of making myself feel better, also like preventing them from having like the feelings that I was feeling. And the other gift that I just want to touch on is really just a gift of like be a listener, be understanding, because there are times where I felt that I didn't really have like that kind of voice, especially compared to some people in my family who were a lot more like talkative, a lot more expressive, a lot more confident. So yeah. And then sometimes what makes it difficult to kind of like heal from the event is the fact that when people take note of how different I am now, like compared to back then, because you know, usually when people bring up, oh no, I used to be like this, or I used to be so changed, you've changed so much, it's rarely like given, it really has that positive sense, So that's the thing. Is that thing of trying to figure out, like, who am I? Like, am I just product of my past, product of my future? Can I be both? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where the difficulty is. So when it comes to like the gift of kindness, obviously my aim is to just see how I can use that, just to try and bring out happiness in the people around me, people I interact with, and even just through listening, like hearing people out when they're going through something, even if I don't understand it. Because that small gesture, it might not seem that big to me, but maybe I could have made someone's entire day, week, month, year, Because obviously, I mean, kindness is within reason, you know what I mean. But yeah, that's my end game.
Hello, my name is Lena Barnhart. I'm a 19-year-old honor student at North Carolina Central University, where I'm a sophomore majoring in mass communications with a concentration in public relations. I believe our traits, whether positive or negative, shape the person we are to the world. The most influential person in my life was my late grandmother, Peggy Barnhart. She encouraged me to strive for greater things and taught me that I could transcend social labels. A remarkable woman, she fulfilled multiple roles, including being a wife, mother, teacher, writer, and friend. Her passion for her arts also resonated with me deeply. Whenever I struggled to comprehend something, she patiently explained that there are complexities beyond what meets the eye, teaching me to be more empathetic. I cherish the memories of her introducing me to new experiences, such as playing Japanese mahjong and Scrabble, despite me constantly losing in the latter. Her constant motivation to expand my vocabulary inspires me to enhance my linguistic skills, giving me the leeway to graduate with high honors. The one thing that resonated with me the most is the gift of not taking life for granted. The lesson she imparted and the door she opened for me will always be treasured. I had lost my grandfather and great-grandmother the year before, but when my grandmother died, I realized I had never properly mourned their passing. I carried the weight of those losses quietly, convincing myself I was strong, when in reality, I had only pushed the grief aside. My grandmother's death forced me to confront all three losses at once, and it was then that I understood how important it is to give yourself time to grieve and to honor the lives of the people you love. In the midst of the sorrow, however, she also left me with a gift, the reminder not to take life for granted. Her passing taught me to appreciate the present, to cherish the people around me, and to live each day more fully. My grandmother passed away during COVID-19, a time when everyone had to go into quarantine. Schools and businesses were closed, and everyone had to wear masks just to stay safe. So I couldn't really be there for her final days, because being near her would have put her already weak immune system at a greater risk. Not being able to say goodbye in person the way I wanted was one of the hardest parts of losing her. And even her memorial had to be held over Zoom instead of in person. Saying goodbye through a screen felt distant and unreal, but it also made me realize how precious every moment with loved ones truly is. That painful time gave me a new perspective. Life is fragile, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. I want to use that gift in my own life. Just like my grandmother, I hope to spend the time I have left helping others and making a positive difference. I also want to take new opportunities as they come, embracing each moment and living my life to the fullest. By doing so, I can honor her memory and carry her spirit forward, showing the same love and strength she showed me.
My name is Ayushi Nayak. I'm 20 years old and a fourth-year student at Open Window University, Zambia, pursuing a bachelor's degree with a double major in graphic design and animation and a foundation in film and design. I've always been an extroverted person, someone who laughs easily, cracks jokes, and finds joy in the little things. My favorite color is blue, and I love expressing myself through jewelry, nail art, modeling, photography, and dancing. I also find peace in outdoor scenery, especially sunsets. My artistic gift comes from my mom. She studied commercial art before moving to Zambia after marriage. She worked with still life and realistic oil paintings that still hang in my grandparents' home in India. From her, I learned to understand color and form, as she has always guided me in polishing my own skills. In many ways, art became our shared language. I grew up as the youngest in my family with a sister 13 years older than me. Our home was often filled with conflict and domestic abuse, and while my sister left for university in America, I was left to navigate childhood alone in the chaos. I had the luxuries of neighboring friends and toys, but no comfort. So I turned to painting and drawing. I'd make small letters filled with art, titled, "To my sister, with love." Something she could carry back with her whenever she visited. What initially began as an outlet for loneliness became my passion and anchor to my art. The struggles I faced weren't only personal, they were also shaped by the larger environment around me. I am third-generation Indian Zambian, Hindu, specifically Gujarati, and I grew up in Lusaka, Zambia. Between cultures, schools, and shifting identities, I learned what it meant to feel both rooted and lost, being somewhere in between. The weight of societal and academic expectations and the silence around family struggles made healing even harder for myself, my mom, and for many others in similar spaces. Today, though, I see my gift as more than just a personal outlet. I want to use my art through design, film, and storytelling as a way to tell stories that reflect real experiences. I hope to create spaces where people can recognize their art and stories of being from a dual heritage. For the next generation, I want art to be known as more than just decoration. I want it to carry culture, an authentic piece of everyone's story, and hold timeless value.
Hello, my name is Ashanti Douglas. I'm a 21-year-old junior mass communications major with a concentration in digital filmmaking and a minor in English, studying as a first-generation college student at the North Carolina Central University. I not only aspire to be both a film writer and director, but believe that the stories we share not only have the power to heal, inspire, but also shape the way in which we view ourselves and the world around us. My story is not just my own, and neither is yours, but it is a monument built to those who have instilled in us the power to always remain courageous, to have grit and tenacity in the face of adversity and when hardships seem to greet us at our front door. Today I share with you someone who has impacted my life in more ways than one, who has brought my life so much joy. My mentor, Tajay Robinson. She and I share the gift of tenacity and perseverance. Through adversity, we have bonded over our shared trauma. Both having grown up in single-parent households, her in Washington, D.C., and me in what most folks would consider the hood part of Charlotte. We struggle with carrying burdens of grief, financial limitations, and generational curses. For the both of us, survival not only demanded more strength, but it required hope. And that hope became our community. Community became our refuge. For Miss T, it was the neighbors and the church family who looked after her when her mother was working 2 jobs to put her through school and put food on the table. For me, it was the Greer Heights community, with voices of encouragement always reminded me that I was never alone, even when it felt like it. The way Miss T poured into me reflects the same drive I now feel to pour back into others. Grief, I mentioned it before, but it has a funny way of sneaking up on you and fast-forwarding you into womanhood. My grief was losing my godmother at an early age, and for Miss T, it was losing her grandmother. We watched as they slipped away from us. We watched as their illness slowly killed their body. We watched as all of the dreams that they had put in us collapsed under the weight of poverty. But where we carried that grief like an armor, it carried like a shadow. It snuck up on us and kept us awake at night. It silenced the noise of those who kept inspiring us to do better and be better, and challenged us to require us to say, what did we want out of life? Who did we want to be? Do we want to be our grief, or do we want to step outside of the shadow and become something more? Many of the wounds that we face today don't just come from us alone, but they are shaped by systems of poverty and racism. A lot of times, many Ms. T's struggle and financial instability and illnesses are rooted by generational poverty, systematic negligence, and a world that often tells us we are invisible until we literally have to fight to be seen. But I am forever grateful for my gift. For both Miss T and I, community is everything. Greer Heights is more than just a neighborhood. It is a lifeline, a reminder that we are stitched together by more than just pain. My gift as a storyteller is to transform grief into light, silence into voice, trauma into testimony. I want the next generation to see that perseverance doesn't just mean surviving, but you can thrive, you can heal, and also rebuild the systems that have tried to break you down time and time again.
Hi, my name is Chimweta Chiabi. I'm a 21-year-old design arts major doing graphic design and animation at Open Window University. I've always loved music, not so much because of how it sounds, but because of what it makes me feel. And I'm also drawn to fashion, though I don't tie myself to one specific style. What I wear depends on how I'm feeling and how I want to express myself that day. But more importantly, I'm Christian, Adventist specifically, and my faith has shaped how I see the world around me, and it's been a constant presence through my struggles and my growth. I'm patient, or at least I try to be. My late grandmother was a very patient person to those around her, and when she died, she inspired me to be patient with those around me as well. I like it when people understand each other's feelings like she did. So I try my best to be a mediator of sorts, to help the people close to me that are in disagreement to understand each other as calmly as possible. Growing up, I've never really felt like I've fully belonged anywhere. At church, at home, at school, I felt like I was shifting identities, like I was living on a character selection screen. The shift began in secondary school. Being myself meant being labeled weird, so I tried to prove people wrong by doing even more things that they thought were strange. I eventually found friends who accepted me, but the judgment of others just kind of stuck with me. Even in silence, I felt it, the disapproving eyes, the haunting voice reminding me I wasn't enough. And it made me guarded and reserved and careful about who I let close. But art changed that. I don't remember when I started sketching, but I do remember when it became my world. By 9th grade, it was all I wanted to do. Sketching characters, building stories, creating worlds. For the first time, I felt like I had something no one could taint with their opinion. Art taught me to embrace who I was and not to hide it. It even changed how others saw me. Suddenly, I wasn't weird. Well, I was still weird, but I was a weird artist. And creating became my safe space, a bridge for others to meet the real me across the gap my anxieties created. I believe every person wants to be loved and accepted for who they are, but society rarely works that way. It runs on hierarchies, on beauty, talent, wealth, skin color, gender. If you have what society deems important, you're celebrated. If not, you risk being dismissed. That doesn't make you worthless, but it can feel that way. I've wrestled with those doubts myself, but what keeps me grounded is remembering that my character matters most, and yours does too. Sometimes it's hard to connect with people who misunderstand you. For me, art became that connection. For you, it might be something else. You might not even have discovered it yet. Often, life throws obstacles at us just so that we can discover our gift. So find your thing. Whether others call it weird or not, let it be the thing that carries you to joy. My past experiences have made me grateful for the people that I have in my life that remind me of my worth and support me on this lifelong journey of self-love. I never really thought much about how I could impact the next generation. I've been too busy figuring myself out. But in a small way, I've already started living into that. I'm drawn to people who feel disconnected because I know what that feels like. So my hope is that my art becomes a way of reaching them, reminding them that they aren't broken and not forgotten, but deeply significant, and capable of transformation, just like I was reminded through the creation of this project. And that's the gift art gave me. So that's the gift I want to pass on.
My name is Paige Brown. I'm 19 years old and a sophomore mass communications honors student with a concentration in journalism from Charlotte, North Carolina. I attend the illustrious North Carolina Central University, and I believe that no matter what you're going through, you should never give up. Just keep pushing forward because God will always be on your side. A special gift that my cousin Kayla Smith and I share is our middle name. My mother and my aunt decided to give us both the same middle name, Brianna, even though we were 11 years apart. Kayla always felt more like a big sister to me, and we loved spending time together during holidays and birthdays. I now see my own gift as making her proud by accomplishing the things she didn't have a chance to do at my age, such as graduating high school and attending college. The most painful event in my life would have to be losing my cousin Kayla to drug use during the spring semester of my freshman year. I remember receiving a phone call from my mother while I was out with my friends. At the moment, I couldn't bring myself to attend her funeral, not only because of her passing, but also because I was already grieving with other losses. I had lost my uncle on my birthday, 2 friends to suicide, and then soon after I learned that my grandfather has been diagnosed with cancer. Facing so much tragedy in such a short time was overwhelming, but it also taught me the importance of resilience. I realized that no matter how heavy life becomes, I need to stay strong and push forward, not just for myself, but to honor and make my loved ones proud. With these events happening while I was in school, this really took a toll on me within my academics. I knew if I would have went home, I wouldn't have any time to finish none of my schoolwork, knowing the exams were coming up that semester. So instead, I stayed at school to focus on my work and keep positive friends around me. This obstacle took a big step on my mental health, and when I went home for the summer, it really settled into my mind that my big cousin / sister was never coming back. All this led to me having to appeal so I won't lose my university honor scholarship. With the Lord on my side, I was able to keep it. Overall, I believe my cousin gave me the gift of sharing the same middle name, a symbol of achievement and purpose tied to the name itself. Her gift to me is the chance to live out both of our dreams through my journey in sports photography and journalism. I carry her spirit as an agent of transformation. As a young Black woman entering a field where representation remains limited, my presence alone challenges the narrative and affirms that others belong in the spaces too. Through my lens and my voice, I aim not to only to capture games, but also to uncover the overlooked stories. In doing so, I can help heal not just myself, but also society by breaking stereotypes and replacing them with authentic, powerful portrayals. My work offers the next generation new ways to see themselves as what is possible. Through it all, my cousin's presence lives on, transforming the world by reshaping who tells the stories, whose voices are heard, and which legacies are remained. Thank you.
So another thing that can happen in a creative cohort when it comes to feedback is that the feedback can, if you're not careful, and if people aren't careful with you, the feedback can have you tunnel and burrow further down away from actually expressing yourself and become more guarded, more covered. And that some of that depends on the cohort around you. So we have to handle each other with care. So the way that we give each other feedback. So one of the things that I'm very careful about when I'm facilitating a group is to say to the group, you're not getting ready to psychoanalyze each other. This is not where you give the person advice on where they need to go for therapy, or sure looks like you got some big problems, or maybe you should tell your mother where to go and how to take care of herself so you can get what you need. No. So like not doing that kind of thing, because those kind of things can chase a person further in. But then feedback in a creative cohort, when we're being careful with each other, which means we first give congratulations, and then we allow the person who is creating to have agency over what it is that they want feedback about. So that's something that you all can take with you, is the way that, I always say to the group, something that you all can say to your groups is, let's have you share and you tell us what you would like feedback about. That way your cohort doesn't go rogue on you, right? And then with the feedback, like I said, since you tunneling down and burrowing into yourself, as opposed to sending you home to go, now let me incorporate that because I just got more enrichment on what to do, which is what we just saw. So thank you, Sheikah. Appreciate you.